Hey there guys, how's it going? My name is Sumedh Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy, and I'm a flow state coach, which means that I help you feel better and perform better. Today I want to talk about what is the opposite of the flow state. Now a lot of us may think, okay, the opposite of flow would probably be stuckness, right? However, if you actually look at Csikszentmihalyi's model and you see the opposite of what he described as flow, he described apathy. All right, apathy. And that's super interesting, right? Because when you are in the flow, you're feeling things more. You feel fully embodied, you're in the moment, you're so present, and you feel like you're there. But when you feel apathetic, you feel disengaged, right? You feel this sense of like, I don't really want to, I don't care about anything, that kind of attitude. Now, I just want to note right here that apathy is very, very different from a Zen detachment. All right? Zen detachment is the ability to almost externalize and look at the issue with a little more distance, to have that skill of observation, to have a delay time with your reactions, right? It's this ability to understand that this thing is connected to me, but it's also distant to me, right? And it creates this beautiful paradox and this ability to understand it from a greater depth in a different perspective, in an approach. However, with the generation gap, I see a lot of doomers blaming the boomers and being like, oh, it's because of you that we're messed up. It's because of the school that I have debt. It's because of the government that my life is messed up. I really, really empathize with you, and I understand your frustration and being a victim to circumstances, right? Because a lot of people go through different kinds of circumstances, and some of them are unbearable. The pain is also unbearable. First of all, I just want to say that you've made it this far. I congratulate you for the fact that you're still alive, for the fact that you're watching this video. Albert Camus said it takes more courage to live than to kill oneself, man. I believe that's true. Understand that there is this epidemic of hopelessness, sensitivity, and meaninglessness in life as well. You've noticed this kind of existential idea from being in college, I'm sure, where you've had these, like I've had moments. I used to be in Bennington College, and there used to be this nights of existential dread where I used to go into the place that was actually called the end of the world, right? That we call in our college, where we walk up there and we just see these trees and this horizon, and you just sit there for a while. It's like being almost at a limbo space. I don't think time or space exists when you go to the quote unquote end of the world, right? So it's quite a wonderful feeling to be able to just have a place for peace and quiet. However, you want to create a place of solace for you, and I'll get into that a little bit later. So, first of all, you want to accept that life has a standard of being, and to fall below that standard is to fall into chaos. The standard of excellence is every single day. Okay, every single day you show up, you do something. You deserve happiness while alive. Happiness comes from taking on massive responsibility and putting fear of failure as your fuel source instead of fearing to take the next step, which is your blockage. What are doomers nowadays? Like nihilists due to circumstance, right? So if your goal is to live comfortably, that's not excellence, all right? If your goal is just, oh yeah, I just want to get along, I just want to get by, I just want to be happy. I've heard this so many times, and when you're in a place of despair, that's all you want. You just want to be average, right? It's like, oh yeah, I don't want to worry about stuff like finances. I don't want to worry about anything. I don't want to worry about having a relationship. I don't want to worry about the system anymore. I just want to live off the grid, avoid everything, and go about myself. Once you start to understand that mechanism, and you understand it's from this fearful avoidant structure, which is, I totally relate with that, by the way. An ability to just run away from things, to rid yourself of all worries, right? That pressing the escape button, I would actually get you to find your people, your tribe, your people is out there. And don't surround yourself with more doomers, right? Don't surround yourself with people, who are going to make you feel worse about yourself, because you're going to get stuck there. You know what I mean? You got to surround yourself with positive people. All right, we've heard that quote so many times before. You're the average of the 5 people. Why 5? You know what I mean? Like, why do we have to choose that number 5? Like, it has no correlation. It could be 2, it could be 17, it doesn't matter, right? but you are who you spend time around, all right? You start to become like them. You start to, engage with them, and their auric field attaches to your auric field, like in a spiritual context, right? Again, you want to look for a niche in a crowded marketplace where everybody underperforms, okay? Look for a niche in a crowded marketplace where everybody underperforms. And there you can feel like you're crushing it. And once you have that ability to show up, that apathy, it's a feeling, but it's also an attitude. You've got to notice that. Apathy is a feeling. I feel apathetic, but it's also an attitude towards the world. And sadly, attitude is one of indifference, unconcern, unresponsiveness, detachment, and dissipation. It's like, life is pointless anyway, why should I do this? It's like also a way that you avoid responsibility. If life is to blame, why should I blame myself, right? Because blaming yourself or others gives you a sense of power. When you blame something, you give it your power as well. You're giving it your energy. If I was different, I would succeed. Ask yourself, are you blaming yourself or are you blaming the outside world? The problem isn't toxic people. The problem is we give the keys to our kingdom and our queendom to those toxic people. And they can open the locks to our spiritual world, to our body, to our mental, to our emotional world. But if you keep those doors locked from the inside, they can't open, right? But that's a choice that it comes down to. What turned you on before you became apathetic? These are important questions to ask yourself. What friends made you laugh? Maybe it's time to reach out to them again. What places and topics really inspired you? Recall and reawaken parts of yourself that would be a reference of flow state, right? Maybe you were on a stage one day and you feel like how good it felt to just be the center of attention for a little bit and just feel like, hey, all the eyes are on me, like I'm doing something great, I've prepared for it, and this feeling of oneness, being connected to the audience, having people laugh at you and accept you, and you feel a sense of belonging. Tap into what that feels like. As soon as I said that, you got a reference of that, because normally maybe you haven't ever been on a stage before, but you have an idea of it. So go off of that idea of it, right? Maybe you've never played sports before, but you can kind of imagine of what it feels like to play sports. I mean, PE was like a mandatory, compulsory thing that you had to do in certain schools, right? So I can imagine that most of you know what PE is like, and most of you have a negative experience of PE, maybe associated with the teacher or whatever, and you didn't want to climb those ropes. And I totally get that. Like from a young age, if you're conditioned away from those things, it's much more difficult as an adult to take them up again because you have these negative storylines associated with it. And so when life keeps slamming you down, it's like it's easier to just accept that and just sit down and just be sedated by it. But it takes another kind, a new level of person who can actually, if we take a look at the flow chart right here, right? Flow, control, relaxation, boredom, apathy, worry, anxiety, arousal. So in order for you to get out of apathy, you want to either be worried or bored. Maybe you're bored right now, but then from boredom, then you can get into relaxation. So these are the two ways that you can go, right? You can increase your challenge when you're apathetic and get worried or anxious, or you can increase your skills, which was the better option, I would say, which is to get you to feel a little bit of boredom, but then from that boredom you feel relaxed. But if you go the anxiety route, you will notice that it will turn into ferocity slowly, right? It'll turn into arousal. And then from the relaxation, you get a sense of control. And then you're in flow, right? So if you look at the model like that, then you can understand apathy in a lot more different place. And also, you're probably comfortable in isolation because you prefer to be accepted and you'd prefer not to change. So it's really to find acceptance in like-minded people and not applying yourself in any way. So what is the solution? To make yourself deserving of acceptance in your own eyes, all right? So get a temple. That's what I would say. Get a church, get a temple. And what I mean by that, it's not an actual temple. I'm not meaning religious here. But find a safe haven, a solace for you, a place where you can go and spill your guts, right? For me, it's the camera, perhaps, or maybe when I record music, or maybe when I have my home gym here, I just lift things, right? I feel like I'm using a tool for expression to feel things again, and that makes me get out of apathy. Basically, you want to have a place where you can just spill and be with your soul. Unhealthy indifference is different from a complete lack of direction and lack of meaning, right? So the meaning of life is to give life meaning. You have the choice here. You can decide what it means to you. So if you decide it has no meaning, guess what? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's going to show you that there's no meaning to this thing. All right. So once you actually get that self-reliance and that ability to notice, like, oh man, I have a choice here. I actually do have a choice and I can do something. And to stack that something and make it something golden for you. It's not about stop giving a crap completely, because if you would, you would just be psychotic, right? You would poop in the middle of the street. You would, start streaking in a famous hotel. You would start, throwing snowballs at the Pope or something like that. You would stop giving a crap. You'd end up in jail, or you end up, dead. Instead of being that outrageous, follow the laws of the land, and also understand to break and change any system, you first have to accept and get into the system. We have to first embrace a system to be able to transcend a system. Shape the current box you're in to break out of that box into a bigger box. You have to expand the comfort zone. You get what I'm saying? There's a difference to stop giving a crap completely. It's about choosing what to give a crap about. I don't care about what, fill in the blank. I don't care about what other people think of me. Do you really believe that? Or do you still kind of care? Yeah, I kind of care. I want them to like me. I want them to accept me. Okay, well then you don't. So don't lie about that factor, right? Just be like, sometimes I give a crap about what people think of me. And that's okay, right? It's completely human to feel that way. Don't deny yourself that. And don't lie to yourself either, like, oh, I don't care. Don't be apathetic for the sake of looking cool. That's one thing I would say. Definitely don't do that. You got to redefine what cool means. Otherwise, everybody else is going to define what cool means for you. So when are you going to have the time to decide that this is cool? You've heard of the intellectual dark web, right? Of all these people, who are saying things that might be a little bit controversial, but they're true. And because they're a little bit more taboo in what they're saying, we find like we end up being like, ooh, I wonder what that's about. I wonder what they're speaking about. Oh, can I say this? In a politically correct cancel culture, shame culture that we're living in, it's very difficult to actually speak the truth and be honest about it and fully open. It's about choosing what to care about, right? And that's what I got from that book, How to Stop Giving an F by Mark Manson. It's like that's what I got from it. Life put you through all of that stuff. Like, if you've been pummeled down by life, guess what? Show life what you're made of. Try me. Let's go. My turn. It's time to show up. Instead of being apathetic. Use the failure as fuel, not as a blockage. All of that failure throughout your life has prepared you for this one moment to get you to show up greater than ever before. So that time that you were physically abused, that was a showing up as a test from the universe that smacked you in the face. So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to sit here and cry about it and go through years of therapy contemplating about it and thinking, what can I do? How can I heal from this? Or are you going to make the process of you in creating a plan for yourself, how can I let this go and move on from it? I transmuted that pain as power into something. Instead of repressing it and suppressing it, where you become apathetic, but it's kind of a passive aggressiveness too, right? When you're apathetic, you sort of feel Scorpio. I feel like I do that a lot. It's like someone makes fun of you. You don't say it back to them immediately. You go home and then you ponder all the things that you would say back to them, right? It's a very feminine energy, and I understand that too. It's okay to understand that. At the same time, you want a presence of mind and a peace of mind, right? If somebody's taking away your peace of mind, you're losing your energy. And the thing is, life put you through all of that stuff, right? You feel hopeless because you've been through so much. And that's not to glorify being a victim or anything, right? It's just to say, like, okay, that was my battlefield. That was my military training ground. That was my ability to trudge through the hardship. That might sound like a kind of a boomer thing to say, like pick yourself up by your bootstraps. You got it, sonny. You got it. Let's just keep going and keep grinding. you know? I'm not saying that either. What I am saying is align with the true you. Because the true you is not apathetic. The true you is living in the authentic flow state. And you know that's true. And so you might write something off like, yeah, this guy in the video is telling me to not be apathetic, but he doesn't know what I've been through, and I don't know. And you're keeping yourself in the storyline on purpose because people will pay attention to you. Because when you complain, and when you're sad, and when you feel lonely, people perk their ears up and they finally listen to you. Like they care about you. Is this making sense? Is this sinking in for you a little bit? Because I feel that it's so important that we don't see our apathy as our weakness. Is it really apathy, or is it deep thought and stillness and perseverance and patience and understanding? What you're labeling as apathy might not be so. It might just be a relaxation in disguise. Your apathy might just be a sense of control in a Halloween costume of apathy, showing, yeah, man, I don't care. But inside you do care. Otherwise, why would you need to react? If you didn't care, you wouldn't say anything back. You wouldn't feel triggered. You would just be there, doing your thing. So the fact is, your apathy, getting you to show you that this feels concerning to you, this emotionlessness or this numbness is concerning to you, and you feel desensitized and you feel a little bit numb, you still feel it, right? You're feeling numbness. So that tells you there is a feeling there, that you're still human, you're not a robot, you still have reactions, and it's okay to embrace the fear. The way out is the way through. Go through what you fear. From a fearful, avoidant attachment style, this was tough for me, let me tell you. A lot of self-made millionaires lost it all, only to gain it back. It's because of this, they lost the fear to lose it all. Because they've already lost it all. So when you lose everything, it frees you to do anything. And fear tends to attract what we're actually afraid of. So if you're in apathy, and your sense of this frozen feeling, when you automatically allow that to happen, you realize it doesn't happen. That courage is moving on in spite of fear. That whatever you're worried about, go towards it. People who never fail, never succeed either. Your failure is the portal that you must walk through to strengthen your armor. Are you afraid of a certain person? Strike up a conversation with them and you realize there is nothing to be scared of. Keep asking yourself, and what if that happens? And what if that happens? And what if that happens? It always comes down to nothing. Nothing. You are worried about nothing. The main fear is eternal imprisonment, death, or oblivion, something along those lines. And once you recognize that, you can take power over that. Remember, nothing has your permission to make you feel bad without your own consent. Get going again, get feeling again. I hope this video sparked some new light into you, woke you up a little bit. Don't be apathetic, man. That's pathetic, man. Just be copacetic, man. Let it flow, fam. Alright. That was a little freestyle at the end of this. Have an amazing day. Flow must stay. May the flow be with you and stay legendary.